Okay. Hey, Alisa. It's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me a
Hey,
bit about the
Malcolm.
community that you've made. Um, yeah. Just kind of, for context, what I'm thinking here is I'm going to kind of ask you a little bit about this online co-working community that you've been curating over the last few years. In part, so I can understand better how it came to be, because I don't actually know the full story there. Um, and then also because I want to kind of create a little bit of a playbook, both in the form of this video and then maybe also in the form of something that I write up, to explain to other people who'd like to have an online co-working community how to go about making that happen. Yeah, that's kind of my thinking with all this. Um, to start with, well, I'll just say a little bit about the Complice co-working rooms at a high level, which is basically, just for people listening, which is that there's a so I have this app Complice, and it has these rooms on it where you can go and basically set up a place where people can do structured co-working together. So there's sort of a work timer and then a break timer, and you kind of chat during the breaks and then focus on something during the work periods. And anybody can use it, or it integrates with a Complice subscription if you've got one of those. And yeah, so tell me a little bit about the just kind of the history. What was the sort of the story of how you came to think of making a room, and like how did you get that started?
Well, actually, I discovered Complice through a co-working room.
Hmm.
I I'm a part of the Less Wrong community, and I just clicked the link to the Less Wrong study hall on the Less Wrong site,
Right. So
and
that
I
was that was the
started
first
co-working.
room that Complice had. Like it was kind of the feature was built around that. Um,
Yeah, I understand that people who wanted a co-working room and they tried a couple of things, and then you made this kind of for them as well,
yeah, pretty much.
so that they could also they could co-work together. I think this is still the only room that has people like around the clock at all times.
Yeah, that's my sense. It's continued being active. Like I was on there as a participant, like back before it was on Complice, back in like 2013 or something, like 2014. Um and
Yeah, that's like 7 or 8 years.
yeah, it's really cool.
Pretty impressive. So I was in the less wrong room. Um, then I decided to try co-working with my friends who are Russian speaking.
Hmm.
I am Russian speaking, so I, I couldn't invite them all to the English speaking room.
Right, right.
So
So it
I
would be kind of awkward, weird, sort of two different groups.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if they're not in the less wrong community or at least adjacent
Right, right.
to
I
the
mean that
community.
co-working room has been pretty much opened up to anybody who wants to, but it still has a history and a context and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, it doesn't show up, I think, in the list of open rooms on Complice. Maybe that changed,
Yeah, I
but
think I think
I
they opened it
think
up a few years ago.
if you know the link,
Yeah.
mm, but before it was if you know the link, you can
Yeah, it was sort
enter,
of more private. Yeah.
say friend and enter. Yeah. Um, I'm very into co-working with people offline. I think it's an excellent way of connecting with your friends through their activities, like you kind of you're witnessing them living their life and doing their stuff, and you have an opportunity to get curious about something they do, ask questions or support them in different ways. That's really, really cool. And also, it works really great with people who are very busy. It's difficult to schedule something with them because they're always doing something else.
Right. It's
But
hard to
but
sort of carve out time to talk, but you can carve out time to work together on the stuff that you're both busy with.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you kind of lure them in with, well, you're still gonna be working. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be around working as well, and we'll have bits of conversation interspersed here and there. so, so that's
Nice.
how you
That's a great tip. I'm gonna
make
write
your
that down as
successful
tip
friends.
number one is like, you can invite your successful busy friends.
Yeah. That's how you make them make time for you.
Yeah.
Um, and with online co-working, that's how you keep in touch with friends who are not in the same location. That's something that also was important for me. Keeping in touch with friends who like, moved somewhere, for example.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you can schedule calls with them as well, but uh, this setting, this co-working room, it's more like seamless, effortless. Like you
Yeah,
can
people just show
just,
up. It's a place where you can just
yeah,
show up. And unlike,
yeah,
showing up to
exactly.
Twitter, it can feel like, okay, I can show up here, while I'm trying to work. Like it's not um I don't have to choose between being social and being productive.
Yeah, it's kind of a hangout spot, like a bar or something, but co-working.
Yeah.
You can just come by and hang out. You don't have to like engage with people, but you can if you want. It's like a low pressure environment.
Yeah.
Of course, it's good for working on your stuff as well, but it's not the main reason I'm doing it.
Mm,
It's how
right.
I get people to join. Working on your goals is how I get people to join.
Right. So it's sort of like, you sort of seduce people in with like, hey, you can get more stuff done, but part of the motivation, I guess, for why people come back is not even necessarily that it makes them more productive, although, maybe to some extent it does, but maybe they're getting about as much done. They're just like also getting to see people, and so it's kind of a win-win there.
Yeah, yeah. And also it can be a very supportive environment as well. If you do it right, if you uh, set some rules, set up a culture the way that's supportive, where people can complain about stuff or share wins. It's, well, for example, it was very important during the pandemic when in times of like massive global stress, like where are very anxious and nobody's getting stuff done, it can be really great to get in touch with people who are also maybe struggling to get their stuff done, and you can complain a bit that, yeah, I'm not doing well and I'm trying to do things, and like maybe let's do this together, and it helps.
Yeah.
Um,
To what extent did you kind of specify those sort of, rules and cultural elements explicitly, or did you just kind of model them like by example, like to just sort of show people how to do it?
well, both, but I try to make uh, everything explicit if I can.
Mhm.
Um, it's been like an iterative process. Like people asking questions, like, do I just talk to a person in the co-working room, even if I don't know them? Like,
Mm.
is that okay if I ask questions? Like, people are busy. Do I just start a conversation like a total psycho? And I made sure to explicitly write this down that yes, you can just start a conversation with a person you don't know, like a complete psycho. Just ask straight away. No need to even introduce yourself. You're just,
Huh.
hey, this thing you're doing that I see in the co-working room that you're doing this. Like, how's it going? Or what do you mean by this wording? And like, are you also in like that profession?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Um, because it's kind of it can be different from social environments that people are used to.
Right. I sometimes think of the co-working rooms as being a little bit like a cafe where people go to work, but I mean, in a cafe, you're mostly not chatting up strangers. And part of that is because people in a cafe aren't working on the same schedule. You know what I mean? Like if you had a
Mhm.
real life Pomodoro cafe, I mean, that would be kind of inconvenient, honestly, because then like everybody would want to like go order more coffee during the break. But maybe how you do it actually. So it's like if you had I mean, this is just me spitballing here, but if you had an in-person like co-working cafe that did actually have Pomodoros and like had people encouraged to socialize during the breaks or whatever, you could have a thing where there's like also like a little app on the thing that like tracks the timer and you can like easily order another coffee like from like while you're working, so it's sort of like you don't have to sort of get up and place the order during the break. I don't know, something neat about that.
Yeah, I mean there are cafes like this where you just use the app to place the order
Yeah.
and you don't have to get up. It's I don't know how common is this is, but it is a
Right, most
thing.
of them don't have Pomodoro timers though, probably.
Nobody, no, they don't. They don't. I don't think that there are cafes like that.
Yeah.
Maybe someone will do this.
Yeah, I don't know, it would be neat.
Um, I can talk about. Hmm?
I just said it
Yeah,
would be interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to share
Well,
some
the
of the
way
other
I'm
like norms and
co-working
stuff?
with rules, norms. Yeah. First, I'm gonna say that in order to have like shared norms, you have to have a place to coordinate it with people.
Hmm.
Um, before, but before this year, during my previous tries to get this going,
Hmm.
I used just a Google Doc that showed up during breaks. It's a
Right.
feature
Yeah.
in the room. You can set up like a message that people see during breaks,
Hmm.
and also there's a bottom page link, like
Yeah.
read more about this room, yada yada. And I put a Google Doc link there, and it has the rules. And yeah, during my previous tries, I also had people like write their names and maybe contacts if they want an introduction. Also in the same Google Doc,
Oh, right.
it
Yeah.
was
So that gives
open.
people a sense of sort of who people are, who the regulars are. You can
Yeah,
find out some context about people.
yeah, because we don't have a shared introduction time. Like
Right.
everyone just comes by and there's no structure beyond the Pomodoro structure, and that's great. That's fine because the focus is on the work,
Right.
on the things you're doing. But it's also nice to have some sort of a coordination, coordination, some way to coordinate things.
Yeah.
This time around, I think I did something that works even better. I've created Telegram chat, and I don't give people the link to the room. I give people the link to the Telegram chat, and then in the Telegram chat, there's the link to the room.
It's like pinned in the
That
chat.
way, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pinned in the chat. It's long introductory message with the link to the co-working room and all the rules, traditions, additional links that we've accumulated
Yeah.
throughout the year. So having this chat makes it possible for me to easily re-engage people, because before I just invited people to come and co-work with me. Usually it was like my friends or maybe some people who just noticed that there was this room and popped in. But if people were tired of coming or just forgot that this room existed, yeah, I could just, I guess, message them and ask them to come back. But it's not very effective. It takes a
Right. You
lot
don't
of
want to be
effort.
like DMing like 20 people or something like that.
Yeah, I don't wanna. I don't wanna.
Yeah. So how many people
To
do
be
you have in the
honest,
Telegram chat?
it, the Telegram chat has about 100, a little more than a
Okay,
hundred
well,
people. From that, yeah, from that 100, I guess about 70 actually go to the room from time to time. Uh, at most, there are like maybe 18 people at the same time. Um, it's a bit tricky because we mostly have people from the European time zones. Um, less round people have it easier because all time zones. You have all time zones, and anytime you go into the room, someone else is there.
right. But I guess
Um,
if people are mostly in the same time zone, wouldn't they mostly be showing up around the same times anyway? Like, or do you find like sometimes if you're sort of the first person on for the day, is that kind of the issue?
yes, yes, first person, or like I have friends from, I don't know, Canada, Australia, but if they're the first to join the community, they just don't have anyone else to co-work with, and it's hard to coordinate, so that even if you have like several people from like different from the default time
Right.
zone,
It's the
they,
the density is all kind of here.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, out of 100 people, like 15 people show up at the same time out of like 3 Australians. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The numbers don't work. Mm,
Yeah.
so I've been trying to deal with that somehow. I've been asking people to invite friends from non-European time zones to the chat. Um, and these people from non-European time zones also get more of my personal attention. Um, to be honest, I don't think it's possible to just create a room and expect it to work, for
Hmm.
people to just show up. I think there's a lot of rooms created on Complice that
Oh
are
yeah,
just
there's tons of
empty.
empty rooms and stuff. Yeah, I had to like modify the UI so it didn't show a giant list of empty rooms to new people because it just sort of seemed kind of barren. And it was better if it only shows 3 rooms and 2 of them have people in it or something like that. Um, so
Yeah, it's demotivating to see this whole cemetery of
yeah,
rooms,
yeah.
kind of. Um, no, it takes some effort from the creator to get things rolling.
Yeah. How much time would you say you've spent,
Um,
I don't know, like either to get started in the first place or like kind of on a weekly basis to kind of keep the room alive?
I I won't count the previous years because those were unsuccessful attempts and I was able to start things, but then I would be busy with some other stuff and it will just die out this time
Okay.
around this year. Yeah. Um, I think to start things, it got me like maybe 3 full weeks of attention and to write down all the things I wanted to write an initial invite post and invite people personally. I invite people personally. Of course, I have some audience that will show up if I just post on Facebook,
Yeah.
but it's not enough. And it works better. It's more engaging if you invite people personally. So I
Totally. Yeah. And you
DM
can say to
people I
someone like,
know.
"Hey, I'd like to be in
I
touch with
ask
you
them,
more."
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do say that to people.
Yeah.
Um, and I invite them to the Telegram chat. I follow up if they didn't try to actually go to the room. Um, it took some time to write an introduction post that I liked, like for the Telegram chat, like, the
Mm-hmm.
rules and everything. And I wanted the Telegram chat to also serve as a place to discuss like productivity related stuff, productivity, ADHD issues, anything like psychology, anything related to things that people were doing, like
Right.
planning, um, uh, things like that.
Yeah.
And the way I explained it to people, like the most important thing about the Telegram chat was that you could ping people and invite them to come to the co-working room.
Yeah.
So you're showing up in the Complice room, there is nobody else. You go to the Telegram chat and tell people like, hey, what's going on? There's no one in the co-working room.
Yeah. Get in here, guys.
Don't you have, yeah, get in here. Don't you have something to do? Yeah, get in losers. We're going co-working, as the meme goes.
That's great. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make that meme and like
Mm-hmm.
post it to the Complice Twitter or something. No, seriously, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's the get in losers. We're going co-working chat. I made a list of like conversation starters that I could use in the chat to engage people. Like maybe 15
Mm,
conversation starters to just get the ball rolling. Just made time to think it through, like something to talk to people about. I asked several friends to also help me make the chat engaging,
mhm.
like to propose activities or ask questions, because people love answering questions. People just love it. If someone shows up with a problem, like especially like productivity gigs, they will just be all over you like with suggestions.
Yeah.
But the hard thing is to get someone to ask something and or to bring the problem. If you have people with problems, it's gonna be alive.
Mm-hmm.
People love helping. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
sometimes
so would you say like you
sometimes mhm,
um you said it took about 3 weeks to kind of, get things rolling um
mhm.
in the first place for this new round. And this is cool. I didn't know sort of specifically that you had sort of tried again with a new strategy. Like I've been kind of aware of your room for a few years. Um and and I knew that it was more active the last few months than it had been before. Like I just, I'd seen more people signing up via the room, and more support messages from people with Russian handles. Um, but uh, but yeah, I didn't actually know that you'd sort of rebooted it with a new strategy. Would you say that at this point, like, suppose that you went on a, I don't know, a meditation retreat for a few weeks and you were offline, like, do you think that the room would kind of have its own momentum and kind of keep going through that time, or does it still rely on you kind of showing up regularly to keep it thriving?
I think it will survive a meditation retreat. Yeah. At this point, I would probably make sure to ask, like maybe to keep the ball rolling, to show up consistently, to make sure they show up and like ask people questions in the co-working room,
Right.
and like post something in the chat. I could schedule something. I could schedule a message in the chat to have some sort of conversation, uh, like a conversation starter. Yeah, something that people have trouble with, especially new members, is talking to people in the co-working room. It doesn't feel intuitive. It doesn't feel like something you're allowed to do, even
Mm,
though like it's chat time. It's explicitly chat time, but
right,
people
right.
hesitate to
Yeah. Do you
engage.
think so? Like, here's the thing
I
I've
have
thought
to
about.
remind people that it's something that you can do. You
Right.
get to complain and you
Yeah.
get to brag. It's something that you're supposed to do. So yeah,
So,
maybe I
so,
should set up an automatic reminder about that.
yeah. So, I mean, one question that we could probably dive into a lot more. I don't know that it's necessarily part of this video, um, uh, but just at a high level, is like I'm wondering, like I've thought about adding some sort of feature to the rooms that would be like sort of like a little bot that lives in the room. Um, and there's sort of a few versions of this, but I guess like one version would just, well, I think maybe the sort of the version that comes to mind when I'm listening to you talk is I'm imagining a little bot that kind of like lives in the room somehow. I don't know exactly what status it has. Like it probably wouldn't be up in the list in the top right. It would sort of be like, just in the chat or something. But the bot would say, like, sort of when the break would start, the bot would just like ask a random question, and there would be a list of questions that Complice could provide, but then also like you could customize the questions um, for your room. So I mean, you could translate the existing ones into Russian, and you could add your own, other um, other questions or whatever. Like, um, yeah. Does that you
That
seem excited.
sounds fantastic.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome, brilliant, amazing. Totally something that would help.
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
Like
I wasn't sure if that
conversation
was something that
starters,
people would
prompts.
want.
Yes,
Um, but and obviously I'd make it optional, if you want a room that doesn't have a little chat bot, like obviously you could do that. Um, and maybe a way to, I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm like thinking maybe a way to turn off the notification sound for like a bot message so that like, you know, um because sometimes, like if there's sort of there can be a kind of crying wolf if like usually like the little like from a message means like a person messaged you. You don't want to sort of have that
Mhm.
sound become less meaningful. So I'm like sort of like, um, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
makes
so there's some
sense.
design questions there. But anyway, it sounds like you're very into that. So yeah, I would
Yes.
see about building something like that. Um, I don't think it would be that hard to do. Can you send me just like the list of questions that you often use in the chat? If that's in, is that list of 15 questions or so, is that for the
No,
Complice chat or that's for the Telegram?
that's for Telegram.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, if you do have
I
ideas for questions to ask in the like or things that the bot could say, in the thing, I would love to see it. I'll probably roll it out as a feature for you first, and then you can kind of test it a little bit in your room, specifically before I roll it out to all the rooms. Um,
That's actually an amazing question to ask my community. I'm gonna ask people in the chat to come
nice,
up with ideas.
sweet,
That's fun.
yeah,
People
yeah, yeah.
love that.
That's a great
And
point.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's really awesome to like people love being on Complice because like it's very personal as well. Like it's a small business and
yeah,
you reply to the support questions and you listen to feature requests and people love that.
yeah, yeah. It feels, it's the difference between like co-working in a Starbucks versus co-working in like a sort of funky family-owned cafe that's got, the owners live
Hmm.
upstairs and the like kids are running around kind of like sort of more like um yeah, alive vibes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. You got me
Yeah. And
for
I mean,
all
I
these
guess some people don't
years.
and they can go elsewhere. Um
Yeah.
While we're at it, do you have any other feature requests that would make your life easier as a room steward?
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting question. Hmm. I'm not sure. I feel like maybe something like a list of participants. Um, like a thought I just had, I don't know if it's good or not, is I as a chat as the chat owner get to see people who visited the room, so I know that people actually visited the room,
Right, yeah.
but other people don't get to see it. So when you show up and it's an empty room, um, you don't know that someone else just was there and
Right.
you
One thought
you
I had
missed
related to
them.
that too. So I think the point you're making is great. Like I don't really see a reason to not show at least some amount of history. Maybe just like anybody who's been in the room in the last like a page that shows anybody who's been in the room in the last week or something like that. Um
Yeah.
um and the other thing is I don't know if you've spotted this. I actually forget where the setting is for it, but there's a so where did I put here it is. Um so there's a somewhere. Oh yeah, so it's at the top of the room settings page. I'm sure you've poked around long enough to find this. But if you if you go to the top of the settings page, there's a thing that's like room profile settings or
Hmm.
like room profile fields. Have you come across that?
I think so.
So
Let
it's
me
not really
see.
very well explained, honestly. Like I think I just like built it for something that I wanted it for, and then just like didn't ever kind of advertise it. But that could combine neatly with the like recently active users thing. So it's like when you set up the
Hmm.
profile fields, you can have like, field type, URL and, sort of description for like to tell people what to put in there. And then And then people get this little thing next to their um, uh, uh, like next to their thing in the room list where they can like edit they can sort of edit their profile, and the profile is specific to that room. So it's like it's not like a generic like user profile for Complice. It's like specific to this room. Like so if you have like a NaNoWriMo room, you can put in your word count, for instance, is like I think that was one of the things I
Hmm.
built the thing for, maybe. Or like the Less Wrong Study Hall at one point had a like what's your less wrong username or whatever, as one of the questions. Or like what's your favorite less wrong post or something like that. And so yeah, so that's a thing that there could be. Is sort of like here's a list of all the recent users with their like little profiles, um,
Hmm.
and so that would give even more kind of depth to it. It wouldn't just be the person's name, like Bob was here yesterday. Like it'd be like Bob was here yesterday, and he likes uh, chemical engineering and horses. I don't know, like um, and just gives a bit more texture to it. I guess even another
Yeah,
thing is for like for Complice users, the sort of profile thing could also include like any visible goals that they have. Like for people who like uh, actually have like full accounts with the goals. Um,
yeah. Right now in the room, you see the goal that your current task
yeah.
corresponds to. So now I see, for example, in my room, uh, my friend doing some task that's related to her um, psychotherapist job. Like
Mhm.
this is the goal, psychotherapy job. Yeah, but even having the list of people who were in the room the last week, I think would be great. It would make it feel more alive.
Yeah.
Like,
So here's another idea I had, which is which I have sort of like mixed feelings about. Like I'm not certain this is good, although probably it's at least good to make it be an option for people. Like currently the Complice room chat is 100% ephemeral. Like Complice literally does not store it on the server longer than it takes to store it in memory to send it to uh, the other users. Like it doesn't
mhm.
save it anywhere. Um, but I was thinking something like, what would it be like if there was like 24 hours of chat history or something like that? Um, Sort of like it would give a sense of
um,
like kind of who's coming and going. It's not. I'm getting a kind of like because it's nice to know who you're talking with and not have other people see it. So like, there's definitely something to be said for that. Um,
I
Here's a
think
thing.
that will,
Okay, sorry, you say your thing. I'll say more stuff.
okay, yeah, it will go against the anti-staleness philosophy, and it
Mm,
will put a burden on people to read the history.
right, right. Whereas if there's just no history in the first place, you just show up, the page is fresh, you get to work.
Yeah,
Okay, new idea.
yeah.
When you
Okay.
sign in, this is so simple but so beautiful. When you sign in, it just displays a little notification that says, you know, these people have been in the room in the last day. It's just in the chat
Mhm.
as like just a little like context piece,
Mhm.
right? So that would just also add to the feeling of like, these people aren't here now, but they were here, you know,
Mhm. And only the person logging in sees that.
yeah, like it wouldn't post it to everybody, but it's kind of like I think
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
when you join a room, it sends one or two kind of context messages. Yeah, like it just says you have joined the blah 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 chat room, right? And it like sort of re-announces the current Pomodoro status to you, and it doesn't like send those to other people. So it'd just be another little like sort of personal message like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
like
yeah.
one of the kind of round ones that doesn't sort of show up to everybody or whatever. Um,
Mhm. Yeah. Now I see.
yeah.
See it in the room. Yeah. It sounds like something something to try. Maybe easy enough to implement and to see how it goes.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I have to check, but um,
Hmm.
that's such a good point. I didn't actually notice that the chat history would not just like make people more self-conscious when they're typing, but it would also go against the anti-staleness thing. I hadn't actually noticed that. That's such a great point. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I love uh the fact that it's not stored, the chat, that you just show up and you
yeah.
don't have an obligation to like reply to all their messages,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to mhm, that sort of thing. Or like it can start like a good thing, like you want to know the people in the room better and you start reading more of their messages, but then you don't getting anything done. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not going to
Yeah. And then
use
you
the
leave,
Complice
and
room
it's yeah. Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. 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 I like how you've got an attention to how good things can go bad. It's a really important thing. Um,
Well, failing a lot of times kind of does that.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, here's another thought. Um,
Hmm.
what if it showed a custom message when somebody joins the room for the first time?
Ooh, yes. Yeah, that's cool. That makes people wanna help and show the person around. It's like,
And then it gives people like something immediate to say, which is like welcome, like hi. This is the thing, like
yes,
as opposed
yes,
to
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even people who don't feel that comfortable messaging people might feel comfortable messaging somebody who's completely new because they'd want to say hi. And the bubble could even say like say hi, like like um,
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Uh, Back when I was into historical dances and ballroom dancing balls, um, that there's a thing like a badge or something, a brooch that means that the person that it's the person's first time, and then
yeah,
everyone is like,
nice,
yeah,
exactly, yeah.
yeah, yeah, you get to greet this person and show them around and be nice to them. Yeah, people love to help and greet people,
Yeah. I guess you
and
could
and
maybe
like
also like
sometimes.
have a custom icon next to their name or something that like means that they're new
Hmm.
or something.
Yeah,
Right?
like
Because
the
otherwise you could
first week.
easily just miss the message. And that would literally just be the very first session, like just the very first time that they join the room. Like it wouldn't sort of stick around for a while. So I think it would be pretty unobtrusive.
Hmm. Maybe it can stick around for a while, like a week, several days.
Okay.
But you can like turn it off, for
Yeah.
example, if you don't want to.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a
Cool. Well,
cool
I don't I
idea.
don't know when or how I'll build all of these, but
Yeah, of
I've now
course.
got a bunch of ideas. But seriously, like one of my main focuses for the next month or so is on um growing growing Complice, and one of the ways that I want to do that is through having there be more successful rooms like yours, and so hence reaching out to talk and uh, yeah, I think that like all of these things here would just make the rooms just just a little better, just like a little more inviting to new people and easier for people like you to start new rooms and stuff. Um, so so yeah, I'm looking forward to making some of that stuff happen. And I'll keep you posted on any of that. And if you think of more things that the app could do differently that would make things better, like here's another thing, like super simple. This would take me like 10 minutes. Um, there's currently the thing at the bottom of the chat, as you mentioned, that has the kind of like
Mm-hmm.
sort of short description and says learn more or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would it be useful if that was like a multi-line text thing instead or something? I don't know, just like to just have more information there. Um, or or relatedly, would it be useful? I forget if this is currently a thing, but like, would it be useful to have when somebody loads the page that's like, it's called the interstitial page, but it's sort of like, sign into Complice or make a guest name or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be helpful to have like custom text on that page that like greets the person and sort of explains stuff? Maybe you're now just doing that with the Telegram chat, so you don't really need it anymore. But
That would be helpful
yeah,
for if not for me, for other people. Yeah, having a way to customize it. Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I've looked into other customizations too, like having a custom background for the whole page or um, stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it right away. I
Yeah,
would like see who wants to create a room and
yeah,
do what these specific people specifically need.
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, because you don't know in advance what's gonna be the most important thing to implement.
Yeah, cool.
Mhm. Another thing I do with my Telegram chat is I give people in the chat personal invite links. Like currently, there's no open link to the chat. The only way to get in the chat, it's invite only basically,
Mhm.
and people will get personal invitation links. So that lets me know who invited who. Um, that helps with keeping the culture
Yeah,
um,
yeah, because people
not
invite people who
intact,
feel
but
like they'd be a fit rather than just sort of
yeah,
posting the links
yeah,
or whatever.
that helps with the culture feed, and that makes people more engaged because they feel more responsibility for the atmosphere and the culture. I explicitly ask them to invite people who will be a good fit for specifically this room, like
Yeah,
people who would find it fun and
right.
yeah.
So your room um is listed publicly on the Accomplice Rooms page.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of
Mhm.
people sort of just dropping in from there or
No, sometimes English people
right.
come in and realize that, yeah, we talk in Russian and they leave. Sometimes they stick around, like, but I think it's like what, like 3 or 5 people throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
very
don't
very few.
know.
Um
Yeah.
right on. And do you guys use the video feature much?
I encourage people to do that. And when they do that, they usually feel better,
Yeah.
but it's hard to start
Yeah.
it. I'm always turning my video on,
Yeah.
but it's very valuable to have this as a feature. It's just hard for people to be the first person in the room to show their
Totally. I've
face.
I've sometimes found when I've done a room in various contexts, whether it's the Lesser Study Hall or other things, it's like I'll join a room that's got four people in it, and I'll turn on my video and like wave, and like two other people will turn on their videos or something. It's like just
Mm-hmm.
even like having somebody presence themselves in that way, like can invite other people.
Yeah,
So
yeah, initiating. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's very fun to have people, I don't know, show their cats, and there's a
yeah, yeah.
thing in the less wrong study hall where I think Tate Tadeusz showing like their plushy owl, I think.
Yeah, I think that started with Anne, who I don't think uses the study hall anymore, but she had several plush owls and she got some of the
Oh,
same ones for other people. Like so that was that was a whole meme like in the Less Wrong study hall in particular. Yeah.
yeah, people showing their plushes.
Yeah.
It's fun to have these little traditions and
Yeah, little
memes.
little little in jokes and cultural references and stuff. Like yeah, it's important that the
Yeah.
culture has fun and play in it, not just like rules. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, I feel like if somebody watched this video, they would have quite a lot of useful ideas for how to get started themselves. I'm wondering if you'd be open to sharing any of the resources that you've put together, maybe in like a sort of anonymized or simplified form. We could kind of link to them in the video description. Um, like sort of what roughly what does your Telegram intro message look like, and yeah, just like what are the other things? If you don't want to share them, that's fine. But yeah,
Well, I'm happy to share. It's just that it's all in Russian.
yeah, yeah.
But
I can sort of translate it like and just sort of I mean I'll do a rough Google Translate and then I'll just sort of rewrite the basic stuff that it says, I think, and that'll be fine.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm happy to share.
cool. Yeah, so cool. So those links will be below. And if you're watching this video and you want help getting a Complice room started, let me know. Probably the best way to do that is to message me through the in-app, like the Complice in-app intercom, down in the bottom right corner of the Complice app. I'm quite responsive to support messages and would be happy to help you strategize about how to make it happen. Um, so yeah, cool. Well, I think that's basically pretty good. We went over a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm probably going to write up a guide as well, kind of based on what you said here, and kind of roll in other suggestions as those emerge. Yeah,
yeah, that would be very helpful.
yeah,
Not
cool.
everyone likes watching videos.
Yeah, yeah,
We
totally.
need.
And we go into a few digressions about feature requests and other stuff like that. So, um,
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely,
I think you had in the past like a manual for how to run personal focus days or something.
oh, hmm. I mean, this the Sparkwave people had a guide for that, but that was kind of different. I don't remember. Oh! I ran a personal hackathon um, kind of event back in 2016 when I launched some new version of the rooms. I forget what it even was. But that was inviting people to get together in person and run stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just yeah, it's kind of similar, and I remember finding these like explanations and manuals very valuable when I
Okay,
ran my offline events.
cool, cool.
Um,
Well, I'll
yeah, so something in like something similar to that.
yeah, cool. I'll
Something
probably
similar to
start
that.
with a Google Doc and then eventually I'll just make it be a page on the Complice site,
Hmm.
um, or something like that.
Great.
Well,
Maybe open
thanks,
it to
Alisa, so much.
suggestions.
Pardon?
Maybe open it to suggestions so that I can ask people to comment on the Google Doc.
Oh, that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that's a great idea. Cool. Well, thank you so much, and yeah, I guess I will see you around. I think you're coaching
Yeah,
at
see you
the
around.
GCIs coming up
Yes,
in a couple months, so that'll be cool.
September, right?
Yeah, I'll put a
September,
link
right?
to those in the thing too. September
Yeah,
24th and 25th. Um,
yeah. See you
awesome.
around.
All right, take care.